It's not often that the polished veneer of a live news broadcast cracks. Presenters are trained for composure, to deliver the day's events with a steady hand and a clear voice. But on Remembrance Sunday, the news isn't just about events, it's about memory. And memory is a deeply human, deeply emotional thing. We saw that barrier between broadcaster and human being dissolve in the most poignant, heartbreaking way on GB News. In a moment of raw, unfiltered honesty, presenter Ann Diamond was seen choking back tears, her composure vanishing as her co-host, Dixon, shared a story that wasn't just news, but a piece of his heart. It was a moment that transcended the screen, reaching through the glass to grip viewers at home with its profound, simple, and devastatingly sad truth. This wasn't a scripted segment. It was a candid, heartfelt admission that reminded every single person watching why we fall silent at 11 a.m. The story that broke the silence. As the nation prepared for the solemn ceremonies, the discussions on air naturally turned to the meaning of the day. But for Dixon, this wasn't an abstract discussion about history. It was intensely personal. He shared with Anne, and with all of us, who was on his mind. It wasn't a distant relative from a bygone era or a nameless face from a history book. Stephen's screen on air changed, displaying a photograph of a young man with a bright, hopeful face, a face that should still be smiling today. This was Fusilier Samuel Flint Broughton, a soldier from Blackpool who was tragically killed in 2013. "I'll be thinking of him today," Stephen shared, his own voice thick with the weight of the memory. "And he'll be remembered by a lot of people today." Samuel, known as Sam, was just 21 years old. The devastating news came in April 2013. Sam was one of 3 soldiers who died instantly when a massive roadside bomb, an IED, exploded, striking the armored vehicle they were traveling in. 6 other soldiers were injured in the blast. It was a sudden, brutal, and shocking end to a young life full of promise, all part of Operation Herrick, the British Armed Forces name for the long, grueling conflict in Afghanistan. Stephen didn't just report this fact, he felt it. He remembered the funeral for the 21-year-old, a day of unimaginable grief where mourners threw so many flowers onto the funeral cortege that the hearse was completely covered in a blanket of blooms, a final, desperate, beautiful gesture of love. "It is just shocking, isn't it?" Stephen reflected, his words hanging in the air. Whether it's grandparents or relatives or friends, or maybe it's just a general sense of remembrance, it's important. It's important to remember these people. And then, he delivered the line that broke through the screen and shattered the composure of his co-host. He gestured to his own necktie. "And actually, this is Sam's tie that I'm wearing today," he said quietly, "which we hold on to. So I like to wear this." More than a tie. In that instant, it was no longer a news story. It was a eulogy. That tie wasn't just a piece of fabric. It was a promise. It was a tangible link to a cherished friend, a symbol of a life given for our freedoms, as Stephen put it. To hold on to it is to hold on to Sam, to carry his memory forward, to ensure his sacrifice was not in vain. For Ann Diamond, sitting opposite her friend and colleague, the impact was immediate and visible. The why behind the day's solemnity, often spoken about in grand, sweeping terms of nation and sacrifice, had just been made painfully, personally real. She was seen choking back tears, her face a map of the empathy and shared sorrow that was rippling across the country. Her reaction was, in that moment, the nation's reaction. It was the sudden sharp intake of breath, the stinging in the eyes, the lump in the throat that we all feel when the sheer scale of the loss hits home. Stephen's final thought on the matter captured it perfectly. "It's funny looking back on all these things and just remembering these people who have quite literally given their everything for our freedoms. A nation remembers." That small, profoundly moving moment in a television studio was a microcosm of what was happening across the United Kingdom. As Stephen spoke, the heart of the nation was gathering in central London. At the cenotaph, the monument to the glorious dead, King Charles led the nation in a 2-minute silence. The absolute hush that fell over Whitehall at 11 a.m. was a powerful testament to a collective promise to never forget. The king, somber and dignified, laid the first wreath at the military monument. He was followed by leaders and politicians, including Sir Keir Starmer, Kemi Badenoch, and Sir Ed Davey, all laying their own tributes. The Prime Minister declared that the country would honor all those who have served our country, reflecting on the extraordinary courage that secured the freedoms we cherish. But the most powerful sight, as always, was the people. Around 10,000 military veterans marched through central London. These were not abstract figures. They were men and women, young and old, some marching proudly, others in wheelchairs, all wearing their medals not as trophies, but as testaments. They are the living embodiment of service. Among them, poignantly, were 20 World War II veterans. With this year marking the 80th anniversary of the end of that global conflict, their presence was a fragile, precious link to a generation that saved the world, and one that is fast leaving us. The personal cost of a generation. Stephen Dixon's tribute to Sam Flint Broughton brought the focus sharply back to our most recent conflicts. Operation Herrick, which spanned from 2002 to 2014, is this generation's war. It claimed the lives of 457 British service personnel. These weren't soldiers from a black and white film. They are the sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, and friends of people we know. They are the 21-year-olds like Sam, whose futures were stolen by the devastating blast of a roadside bomb. That is why Stephen's story, and Anne's tears, mattered so much. It reminded us that Remembrance Sunday is not just a formal state event. It is a deeply personal day of grief. It's for the widow who still sets a place at the table. It's for the mother who holds a folded flag. It's for the best friend who wears a tie. It's about remembering that every name carved in stone and every poppy worn on a lapel represents a human being who loved, laughed, and had dreams. They are the people who, as Stephen Dixon said, quite literally gave their everything. On a day filled with pageantry and solemnity, it was this quiet, unexpected moment of raw emotion on GB News that provided the most powerful tribute of all. It was a reminder that behind the parades, the wreaths, and the silence, there is a simple human heart. And sometimes it breaks.